What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out Silmaris Dice Kingdom. Kind of an interesting game, actually. I was playing around with it, and, I'm not a huge fan of stuff like Tharsis that's, heavily dice-based. I've just never been a giant dice guy. But Silmaris Dice Kingdom is kind of an interesting game because it mixes a lot of influences with a lot of other influences. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with this game, and the next thing you know, it's been an hour, and you've been playing it for a while. So anyways, basically what this game is it's a colony manager, a city manager. You are the king, the newly coronated king of a city, and there's going to be 4 or 5 other cities that all are kind of randomly generated with regards to how much they like you, how much they dislike you, so on and so forth. The game does use dice systems, but really at the end of the day, it's almost roguelite-y. I can't say that it's a roguelite, but it's got kind of a feeling where you make a new city, you make your new king. You know, you're good at stuff. You have your advisors. They all provide different dice towards different tasks. Things like diplomacy or adventuring or war or whatever else. On top of that, you also have to manage kind of your relationship with all these other city-states. Otherwise, eventually, they'll all end up at war with you. And then in between, you've got these little storyline segments that are also randomly generated where you make choices as to how you want to conduct your kingdom in between turns. And so anyways, the game actually turns out to be a lot more than the sum of its parts. I was playing it for a bit last night and had a pretty good time with it, so I figured we'll show it off here today. You guys can check it out and see if it's something that you wanted to get for yourselves. I'll have a link for you down below, obviously. But let's dive on in and get this thing going. So we've started a new game. These are our 5 advisors right here. We have warfare, diplomacy, knowledge, adventure, and spycraft. And then, of course, you have 5 fate points over here, which are used for rerolls and for buying very, very expensive things. So kind of a fun part of the game as well is that you can actually customize your experience when you start on out. These 5 advisors right here, the default ones, they're the ones that give you kind of the middle. They give you the middling amount of fate points for rerolls. But they also kind of give you, the basic stats or whatever. And then you can get them gear, and you can kind of make them more powerful later on. Or you can just fire them and hire somebody better. In the game settings, you can customize a little bit what your advisors look like. It's going to require you to use your fate points, though. So as you can see, it's going to adjust your fate. These guys obviously have a lot more that they're bringing to the table, twice as many skills. Or, in some cases, 3 times as many skills. But if you take them, it's going to cost you a lot more fate points. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to start out with a lot less rerolls. In addition, we also get to choose kind of what sort of leader we want to be. What values do we personally hold close as a leader? And this will kind of affect one thing. This is actually a complaint that I have about the game. I'll talk about this a little bit later. It's not for right now. But anyways, you will be rewarded for behaving in a certain way once you pick what kind of ruler you are. So you can be merciless. That means you're going to start the game with a few extra dice towards war. You can be conciliatory. That means you're going to start out with a couple of dice towards diplomacy, and you'll get rewarded whenever you do the diplomatic option when it comes to resolving events. You can be bold. That's going to give you extra adventuring dice. Adventuring dice are used for killing monsters, slaying creatures, going out and clearing dungeons, and getting new loot that you can equip on your advisors. We also have Devious. Destiny will smile upon you if you act with cunning and perfidy. It's going to give you extra spycraft dice, and it's going to reward you for kind of being a lying bastard. And then Careful. Careful is the knowledge or the wisdom path. And effectively, Careful gives you extra dice towards knowledge and then rewards you for acting in a way that's sort of moderate, I guess, instead of picking extremes. The thing that I don't like about this system is that it tells you what the option is that corresponds with your particular. So when you have an event, you'll have 3 options for how you want to deal with that event. One of them will clearly say merciless next to it, and you just click that. So there's no kind of nuance to it, I guess. I kind of wish that the option was hidden. You couldn't see which option gave you the reward for acting in the way that you're supposed to according to, this little alignment that you selected. I feel like it would work better if you didn't know which one was the right choice, but you kind of, intuitively were well, this sounds pretty merciless and went for it, and then maybe you get rewarded, you know? Anyways, we can also adjust how many fate points we start out with. That's going to mess with our score. It's going to make you start, way behind on the leaderboard. So obviously, if you're trying to do a really, really good run where you're going to place on the leaderboards, you don't want to give yourself a bunch of extra fate points. In fact, you probably want to start out with 0 so that you can get that extra 500. Fate points are not hard to come by, but they are valuable. So you know, we'll talk more about what you can do with them. Let's go ahead and we're going to be conciliatory this time around. Last time I played the game, I was careful, and I was sort of disappointed because most decisive actions that I needed to make diplomatically or with regards to tactics, like most of the things I had to do were not considered the careful option. So it was like I could do the thing that's going to advance my goals, or B, I can go with the careful option, which is going to give me a bunch of dice bonuses, but then I'm going to miss out on having the initiative. So anyways, we'll go with conciliatory this time. We'll just kind of see how it goes. All right, so there's our game settings. I know it took us a little bit, but there's a lot of moving parts on this game. It's kind of like a board game almost. So I'm going to be spending a lot of my time just kind of like telling you how the game works and like why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing in order to get us sort of like moving. Alright, so it's our first turn. We are the king of Thylia. That's all you need to know. This is our city right here. There's a bunch of different options we can participate in if we wanted to go after this. These will all give us various increases to our dice. So the basic way that the game works is we have these dice up here. We have 5 war dice, we have 8 diplomacy dice, we have 5 knowledge dice, we have 5 adventure dice, we have 5 intrigue dice, and we have 5 fate points. All of these dice are going to be the dice that you roll in the particular situations that they're named after. So if you're trying to convince another leader to be more friendly with you, you're going to be rolling your influence dice against his influence dice. And whoever rolls the most successes, that is, whoever rolls the most 6s, effectively becomes like the winner of that exchange. And it works the same way all the way through. Knowledge would be used for like deciphering, finding magic spells and deciphering them, or, you know, translating scrolls that you find in a dungeon that'll lead you to another dungeon. Adventuring is for killing large monsters and going down into dungeons and basically being successful. This is for intrigue, so you can spy on people, you can sabotage their cities, and of course this one right here is warfare. So anytime armies fight, you're going to be rolling your war dice against each other. Fate points allow you to re-roll. They're also a limited currency you can use to buy new advisors, and you can also use them for various other things. But you know, fate points tend to be more important than anything else because they allow you to re-roll, which is a really, really big deal. So anyways, we don't have enough knowledge to really do any of this stuff. You might be asking yourself, okay, well, how do you get more of these dice? Well, these dice are capped at 15, so you can only ever have 15 of any of these dice right here. That's the point of these upgrades, is that these upgrades will double that. So then you can store up 30 of those dice, which is actually, like, good. Like, you really kind of want to decide what upgrades you want to pick early on in the game and what your overall strategy is going to be. So if you're just going to, like, be a peacemaker the entire time, you probably want to expand the palace. That'll double the amount of influence dice you can store up, and then you can just sort of, like, barter and bribe your way through everything. But anyways, we can't do anything right now. Your turn is split up into your advisors' turns. So every single one of your advisors can act one time. And the way that that works is, like, let's say that you've got the, let's say we wanted to expand the stables. We need 12 dice. We're rolling 12 opposed dice here, so we only have 5. We would take an advisor and you want to drag and drop them onto the task. That'll use up their turn. She brings 2 knowledge dice to the table. So every single character starts out with 1 dice in every single category. But you can see here they have a bonus. So she has a bonus to knowledge, a bonus to diplomacy, a bonus to war. So technically, if we apply him to anything warfare related, he'll add 2 dice, not 1, because that's his bonus, not the native amount that he provides to any conflict that he's going to be bound to. You'll get the feeling for it once we get moving. We can sell, we can buy dice over here. So we can buy weapons, for example. If we go on in, we can trade these dice to get other dice. The trade is usually pretty bad. You don't normally want to go for it unless you really, really, really need to have it. This menu right here is our diplomatic situation. So this time around, we've started out with King Ulrich hating us, and we've got Queen Lodri who hates us as well. I don't know if the diplomatic state on these guys is randomized. I know that Ulrich hated me the last time I played the game, but I'm pretty sure Odon hated me the last time I played the game. So it was Ulrich and Odon didn't like me, and then the other 3 were neutral. We more than likely want to gather some allies. We can open up diplomacy with any of these people by clicking on the menu. You can also do it by clicking on any of the cities down here in the bottom with its corresponding icon, or you can just click on the city like so. So anyways, there's a lot of different ways and a lot of different paths you can use to get to the same place in this game, and I think that's actually a really, really good thing. It means that it's difficult to miss out on anything important. The most probably important thing that you're going to need to know in order to play this game is the get dice key right here. So basically the way that this goes is if you wanted to get more of these dice that you can apply to various situations, you go to get dice, and you can enable and disable which counselors are going to be used up from this. This will use up their entire turn. But anyways, you can pick, and basically they will roll a die, and if it comes up with this little dragon symbol on it, that means you earned that die. And so, like, let's say, just for the sake of argument, that we take all these guys and we apply them all to diplomacy. We want them all to generate diplomacy die for me right this second. That's what we want them to do with the rest of their turn. We'll go ahead and roll it, and we actually hit all of them. And so we got 6 diplomacy die that just got added in. And so we've got 14 diplomacy die right now, which is actually really, really close to our maximum. Probably a decent opportunity for us to make peace with somebody, but you see here, rolling dice on every single character, it used up all of their turns, so there's nothing else we can do for right now, so we're just going to pass on to the next turn. Let me present Thabar, an old friend of mine. He is a famous Tholamite explorer who successfully navigated the Sea of Torment near the Western Isles. And I returned alive, the man proudly asserts. Now I will accomplish what no other has yet done. I will explore the archipelago and return with the legendary pearls. I don't believe it for an instant. His ship is going to leave to the cheers and disappear forever into the waters of torment, just like those before him. The Western Isles hide marvels that I ache to discover, he exclaims, but my ships need repairs, I need to recruit new crews, and I have no money. Help me, and I promise I will give you a share in the great riches I gather on the islands. Thabar is a surprising man, and I would not necessarily bet on his failure. The price he sets is high, for less than certain. Alright, so, we can fund the expedition, or we can tell him to kick rocks. Apparently, you see what I mean? It tells us what the conciliatory option is. I wish that was hidden right there, so you couldn't see that, and then it just rewards you after the fact. I think it would make the game more compelling, and a little bit more about, like, learning the prevailing meta, but also for your first couple playthroughs, I feel like it would make it a little bit more fun. I don't know, I'm the kind of person that likes to discover things. I don't like to necessarily have the answer, like, given to me. And so anyways, we'll fund his expedition. We used 3 fate points on that, but we got 1 back, so it only cost us 2. We still have 3 fate points left. That's not terrible. 3 fate points is workable. Like, it's manageable. And maybe in the future, we'll actually get something really, really good out of this. It's possible that we don't. My last playthrough, I do want you to know the storyline is randomly generated. The last time I played, it was more or less an all-out rebellion. Like, I had people, like, inside my city plotting against me, and I had to decide whether I wanted to hang them in the town square, or whether I wanted to throw them in the dungeons, or whether I wanted to exile them, and every single option either moved or swayed the people to my side or against my side. It was kind of cool. Anyway, several days later, you learn that he took to the sea in the direction of the Sea of Torment. Well, hopefully in a couple days he comes back, and he gives me some ridiculous mad loot. Our scouts have discovered an abandoned lair with an unknown creature. Very cool. And now it's turn 2. So I think what's a really good idea, just a feeling that I've got, I feel like it's a really, your counselor will be unavailable for 3 turns. You will lose your counselor and their artifact if we lose. Your counselor will be imprisoned by an enemy but may be freed. Okay. Let's go ahead, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to... What's it going to take? 12 over there? Okay. I'd like to spy. What's with the abandoned lair right here? It only takes 7 dice. I have 7 dice. What's inside of there? Your counselor shows no further signs of life, but you may be able to retrieve him. Basically, these are the risks right here. If you fail this mission and you don't make the dice roll, it'll tell you what the punishment is going to be in no uncertain terms. And I actually really like how clearly labeled all of your options are in this game. It's really difficult to make an uneducated decision in this game, and that's good. Like, a lot of strategy games, they leave you kind of head-scratching and being like, what should I do right now? This is not one of those games. Like, it tells you exactly what you're going to get, and exactly what's going to go wrong if you succeed or fail at most things. Alright, so we've sent off, have we? No, we haven't. We've set off an adventurer, but we haven't sent off any of our advisors yet. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to make sure we don't end up at war. And so I'd like to make a non-aggression pact with some of these other sides. We're going to give this a go. It's 13 versus 13 right now. It's a little sketchy. The game does 100% give you, a percentage as to what your chance of success is, and it actively adjusts as well, and it kind of changes the color to let you know, like, hey, you have the advantage, or like, hey, this is even split, or like, hey, you're at a disadvantage. You see what I mean? Lots of good little UI things with this game. We can also add more dice by using our fate, but I honestly, I feel like you have, I don't know why you would ever do that. It feels like a full reroll would just be a better option. So let's give it a go. Let's see how we do with diplomacy here. We'll roll our dice. And it looks like we pulled ahead, 5-6. I love the way, by the way, that it ticks upwards and actively changes the color of the number of dice right there. It makes it tense sometimes. Like they did that on purpose to increase tension when you're trying to get something done. So now we have a non-aggression pact with Falador. That means we really only have one enemy actively seeking out to destroy us. All in all, this is a pretty good turn. This is about what you wanted to accomplish with a good turn. I would recommend, let's go ahead and everybody just roll the dice that you produce. We're going to need to have a lot of dice of varying colors and varying types if we want to get things done over the course of the coming turns. And so anyways, the imposing body of a wolf lying at your feet impresses the nobles of the Great Hall. The head of the clans of the Amber Forest, a dense forest to the north, begins to speak. Large numbers of wolves just like this have entered the forest, he cries. They're making our logging work increasingly difficult. We were considering petitioning King Gorm of Tholam to help rid us of them, but I preferred to first request the help of King Thela, with whom we supply the bulk of our wood. Protect us from the wolves, O King, or our wood will unfortunately be a lot harder to come by in your city. The wood from the northern clans is not our only supply, and the city would suffer no shortage if this source were to become unavailable. I could send a troop to the Amber Forest, but they will need to be permanently stationed there to protect the loggers as they work. Our scouts in the Ethan Forest are our best hunters. They could quickly rid the loggers of this nuisance. Yeah, send our scouts out there. I will lead the Ethan scouts to the north. We'll see how that turns out. Is he going to be gone for today because of that? Oh, it's actually like a spot on the map that we need to deal with. Okay. Fair enough. It's 7 dice versus 8 dice. Alright, or 7 dice versus 9 maybe. Alright, we can give it a go. Sure, why not? Let's solve this problem up here. Slid things around where I didn't want to. Yeah, roll them bones. Let's do this thing. Hey, big win right there. Big old green win. Sounds good. So we've hunted some wolves. The scouts were effective and the loggers will soon have their forest back. The Thilan hunters will soon bring large numbers of wolf hides back to the city, which proved very popular with traders and soldiers of the guards. After a few weeks, the hunters catch fewer and fewer, and for time at least, the wolf problem in the north is under control. In return, the foresters choose to permanently reduce the price of their wood for the people of Thila and their king. Building projects in the city now cost less. All Yellow City missions cost 2 less dice. Oh, that's not bad, actually. That's pretty good because, like, the city expansion requests are pretty expensive. Like, they are difficult to accomplish if you're not ready for them. I think it would be a great idea for people to generate some more dice for me. Thank you. Thank you for generating some more dice on my behalf. We're almost at 10 war, which is about where you want to be. I like to keep my dice around 10 most of the time. Just makes the whole situation safe. Who is this sketchy-looking Wallace Shawn guy? Who is this? A small man appears before the throne without being announced. I recognize him. It's Remo of Falador, master of the pantomime, poet, comedian, a rogue as well. His satire is legendary, makes the common people laugh as much as it enrages the rich and powerful. The impudent fool has been missing since a year before, at just the right time to escape the hanging of his entire troop from the palace gates by King Ulrich, furious at having been ridiculed. The man prepares to speak, but the palace guards approach and seize the intruder who has clearly broken in. I mean, he broke into the castle. We really can't set a precedent that breaking into the castle is an okay thing to do. Several kicks to the rear later, he disappears into the Great Hall. You later hear that Remo and his troop left the city. Yeah, I just don't want to take a chance. I feel like something bad's gonna happen. Our scouts have discovered the den of a dire wolf. Its head would make a magnificent trophy in the Great Hall. Okay, I'm still kind of focused on fixing all this stuff over here. I think, what do we have going on right now as far as offerings go? So I can trade 5 dice of any color to go ahead and get ourselves a fate point right now. And there's also smuggling, apparently, where I can trade 3 for any 1. Yeah. Not going to do that just yet. There are some things you can do that'll make your markets more successful and I think reduce the cost of the trade. But still, in general, I don't do a whole lot of dice trading most of the time. We need adventure dice, and we need adventure dice, and we need diplomacy dice. Let's get the adventure dice first, since we have, like, absolutely none of those. And then I'll have her roll for the diplomacy dice. We'll kind of see where this leaves us. We only got 1 diplomacy dice, which is kind of a bummer. But still, we got 5 adventure dice, which is pretty good. Remo's troupe performed their show in Arhaven, and it brought in crowds. The largest square in the city of Odon has been transformed into a market for the occasion. You also learn that you were the first public target of the comedian's mockery, and he's constantly ridiculed you, which has not failed to amuse people and other monarchs in the valley. That's fine. Words are words. That's fine. Words are words. I didn't want to take a chance with him ridiculing me in my own town, but now that I know what the event does, I'll know for future reference to let him on in. Let's see here. I got 5 adventure die. I kind of want to get these lairs and whatnot done. Oh, it takes war dice for that one. Oh, we could do that. That's not hard. Yeah, do some roll. We'll do some war dice. Why not? We're not at war right now, so I don't really, like, need to hold on to the war dice. Oof. So anyways, we always win, by the way. The player always wins in the event of a tie, which I feel is like a pretty generous way to run the game. A necklace of eloquence. Very nice. So we can sell it for fate, or what we can do is we can put it on our diplomat. Boink. To make her even more diplomatic. I don't recall if you can, like, take it off of them. I'm pretty sure once you put it on, it's, like, there. And you've actually got to buy to take it off, if I remember correctly. But anyways, she's now a much stronger diplomat than she was previously. Twice as good, in fact. We need to recover some diplomatic dice, like, right now. Otherwise, if anything, like, weird happens with regards to our diplomacy, we're going to have a rough time. Wearing a dirty, worn tunic, the hairy, bearded man looks like a beggar from the city's cesspit neighborhood. A small, tattered pigeon coos on his guano-covered shoulder. I am Azel, guide to the people of Harmony. I am also known as the Bird Preacher. After much wandering, my people are hungry and exhausted. We humbly request the hospitality of the valley's leading city. We are excellent craftsmen. We work hard and live on little. I see only mouths to feed. Drive them out. There are only 100 of them, and we don't have enough craftspeople. Let them make a camp on the Ironworkers' Square near the forges and workshops. If you want to let them in, send them to the cesspit. Yeah, go to Ironworkers' Square. Why not? We'll see how this works out. The city, he said they were craftsmen, so like 100 craftsmen inside your city? Well, that's pretty good. That 100 craftsmen, like, instantaneously could take your city from being kind of like poor and destitute to being like a center of just sort of artisanal goods. Like 100 guys, think carpentry, stonework, lapidary. Like, we could have all of that, you know? Not to mention builders, you know, siege masters, that kind of stuff. The installation of these ragged strangers in the middle of the city is received with suspicion by the people. I just cannot keep my diplomacy dice up. I'm trying so hard. Apparently there's a magic portal over there that's kind of like doing its thing. I need more diplomacy dice, so I guess... Actually, you roll that dice. I will have you on... Yeah, everybody roll your own dice, actually. Oh no, dude, we didn't get any of the ones that I wanted. Feels bad. That's super not good. Oh, who is this creepy looking harlequin dude? Their faces striped with demonic paint and pupils enlarged by the Amagora. The Zelhiri render the court silent with their mere presence. I am Agga, senior advisor to the great Alcahadra. A plot hatched by my enemies altered my queen's judgment and ruined the trust that she had in me. I was forced to flee and wandered the city seeking refuge from my own city's assassins. He continues after wheezing momentarily. I request the hospitality of the court of Thilla and would provide my counsel to the king without asking anything in return. At best, he's a spy for the sorcerer queen, and at worst, one of her assassins. I have heard of Agga Zelhir's reputation as a formidable spy. To have such a person on our side would be a considerable advantage. If you accept, our relationship with Zelhir will certainly suffer. Yeah, why not? Apparently he's a member of my court now. Very nice. I'm okay with it, although we aren't really like a spycraft army, I guess. Yeah, might as well. We'll swap them right now. We have this counselor right here, but this guy gives us 2 dice. And I'm a big fan of 2 dice. And we have an abandoned lair over here that we can go after. I think it's an okay idea. I think we should do it. Like, there's not a whole lot else we can do with our turn right now. And so, like, we'll see what happens here. Hey, we pulled it out. 5 versus 5. What do we get? A storm axe. Very cool. Yeah, dude, put it on top of my war leader. Absolutely. There we go. And that increased our score as well. So we're actually, like, we're making some decent pointage right now. We're not doing too bad. We're hanging in there. Agga's not going to be able to do much for right now. It doesn't look like Azel here actually got angry with us for hiring him. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow. I don't know. They made it sound sort of like certain that Azel here was going to be really upset with us doing this. But it doesn't look like it turned out that way. Oof, dude. I keep not getting the dice that I want. I need the gold dice. I wanted to expand my court. I expected this. The presence of Agga in our city has set Queen Alcahedra on edge. In a menacing missive, the Queen claims that her old advisor be sent to her as soon as possible. It would be a good opportunity to improve our relations. Between annoying the Queen or getting rid of this cockroach, I can't decide which would be more pleasurable. Phew. Go ahead. Zelhiri is chained onto a chariot and heads south, escorted by guards. Several days later, you learn the convoy never reached its destination. Our trackers cannot find Agga nor the guards. They stop on the road of the two towers as if it had flown away or simply disappeared. Zelhir thanks you for the gesture towards her, but doesn't miss the opportunity to mock you. Okay, well, that turned out not the way that I thought it was going to work out. Oh, there's a snow giant up there. Lovely. Just what I needed to deal with right now. Snow giants. As if life wasn't difficult enough. Let's go ahead, and I think it'd be a really good idea. What does expanding the stables do? Will allow us to recruit more scouts, so we can have 30 dice. Okay, so that's what that does. I kind of think that this might not be the worst opportunity. What does that do? Give us, like, double the amount of gold dice? Is that what it does? Yeah, yellow dice. Okay. Let's go. We'll expand the palace first, since diplomacy is kind of like our main thing that we're trying to play around with. Yeah, go ahead and roll it. It's going to be a pretty random roll, though. 10 dice versus 10 dice. You never know with 10 dice versus 10 dice. There you go. We can hire more diplomats now. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Unfortunately, for now, I just need more dice. So there we go. We'll get a few more dice. They're going to be in various categories. I wish we had more, but it's the way that it goes. That's been the first 8 or 9 turns so far of Silmaris Dice Tactics. I hope you guys liked it. I really like the art style, and I actually think the game is fairly compelling. Like, I enjoy it, and I don't normally enjoy dice games. So anyways, check the game out down below. It's available for your perusal. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day, so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block was Silmaris Dice Tactics, or Dice Kingdom. Tomorrow it'll be something different. Make sure you check out my Discord. Make sure you check out my Twitch stream. I'd love to be your host in both locations. And that's all I got. Bye, everybody. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it.